You was cracking, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, one and only Big JD. Go ahead, give this channel a subscribe, share it, leave some messages or comments, hit the thumbs up for the like, notification bell to be informed on all episodes when they drop. So here we are in a new decade, a new year, 2 weeks into the first month of the new year. And how many of you have maintained your New Year's resolution, specifically in this monumental time of a new decade that we are in? So the old decade's gone. We're in a new decade. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety. All kinds of emotions are flying around. Rumors and rumors of wars, impeaching of a president, maybe even voting the president out or keeping him in. Who knows? I don't know. Nobody really knows because the polls really don't ever show us shit, as we've learned in the last election. All these things are going on. The main thing that's always the most notable point of any changing of the year and the dawn of a new year is the resolution that you keep. How many of you have actually stuck to your New Year's resolution? What was your New Year's resolution? Are you willing to discuss it on here? You could leave it in the comments section. We could talk about it. I know I got a coworker whose New Year's resolution was to quit smoking. On day one, he quit. On day two, he was back to smoking again. It's almost impossible to keep a New Year's resolution. I think what the statistic was is about maybe 2% of people actually follow through to the end on their resolutions. But the New Year's resolution, one of the main ones of it is the diet. The diets. Dieting. Losing weight. Trying to get your body up in shape before the summer comes because you want to squeeze into that bikini or you want to squeeze into that man bikini. You know what I'm talking about. Nowadays, it's very common for a lot of men to be very feminine in how they dress, so I would just assume that they probably wear a bikini. I haven't been to the beach, the lake, the river, anything in some time, but nonetheless, people want to squeeze into that bathing suit of any kind in any way, shape, or form. They want to be able to strip their shirt off and show everybody what they're working with as far as their fitness is concerned. The keto diet is one of the main diets that's going on, crazes that's happening in this country right now and all over the world. People are fascinated with the keto diet. And what is the keto diet? How does it work? And can it work in prison? We're going to get into all that. So first, let's break down what the keto diet is. So the keto diet is a state, more or less. It's you're trying to maintain what's called ketosis. And to maintain that, the only way is possible is you have to limit your carb intake. Some people say no more than 50 carbs per day. Most people, though, stick to about around 20, 25 carbs. Some people as low as 15 carbs a day. Can you imagine that? Even one soda is like something like 60 carbs just for one soda. An energy drink, carbs through the roof. A single candy bar, a honey bun, bread, pasta, all these things are packed with sugar and carbs, and you cannot eat those on a ketogenic diet. You can't even eat any fruits, really, because fruits have a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs in them as well. So what can you basically eat when you're on a keto diet or an Atkins diet or anything to that degree? Is the only thing you could basically eat is meat. So if you're a vegetarian, you're almost shit out of luck unless you can find alternatives. And I heard that there are alternatives for people that want to go on a ketogenic diet who are vegetarians or who are vegans. There's some things like soy and other things, I believe, that don't have any real carbs in it. But mainly, a ketogenic diet is designed for the meat lovers, the meat eaters of the world. It's not something that's actually new either. They found that most of our ancestors were on a ketogenic diet. They ate a lot of the meat through the winter, and in the summer months is when they basically took up the harvests and they were able to eat their grains and fruits and stuff like that. Anything that grows in the springtime or in the summer, they were able to consume during those months. But in the winter, it was all meat. And that's when ketosis kicked in, and that's probably where we got it from in the first place. It's a survival mechanism that our body has designed. But can you go on the ketogenic diet in prison? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible to go on a ketogenic diet in prison, and I'm going to basically walk you through the steps on how you can do it if you are going to prison, or if you're in prison right now, because we already know a lot of you's got phones out there. So if you are watching this right now and you are in a prison and you are considering the keto diet, you've read all about it and you don't know how it's possible in prison. I mean, consider the food that they give you in there. A lot of it is slop. A lot of it is processed crap. Most of it is carb based, because carbs is how you get your energy in there, and they want to keep you maintained. Basically, the way a prison diet runs is this, and I hear a lot of shit and I hear a lot of people talking bad about prison food. Prison food is not really as bad as you think. And I'm going to explain it to you what it is and how it fits into what's called the dietary standard, or the community standard, as some people call it, according to nutritional needs. And it's basically any penitentiary or prison diet has to be approved by the FDA in the federal system, namely. It has to be approved by the FDA, and it has to go according to what's called a national menu. And we're going to go off of the federal spectrum on this one right here. States different, vary. They usually have to go through their own health departments and whatnot. But your diet in prison is broken up much like any other diet in the world. You have your proteins, which is your meats. You have your starch, which is your potatoes, your rice, your pasta, things like that. And then you have your veg. And your veg is made up of any kind of vegetables. Mostly in prison, a lot of vegetables that you get is a lot of broccoli, a lot of carrots. Anything that's the cheapest that they can get, and they can get in mass bulks, is what you get in there as far as your veg. Starch. This is the biggest part of a prison diet, is the starch portion. It's the biggest portion. The protein is about the same size as the veg. So your protein is about this much, your starch is like this, and your veg is like that. The starch is basically all blow up. It's made to sustain you. And all the standards that are put out and that they have to follow is that they sustain your life. It doesn't matter what kind of nutrients they're giving you, just as long as you're sustained and you're full. And you don't even really have to be full, to be honest with you. You've seen some of those plates. So for somebody trying to follow a ketogenic diet in prison, you would find it to be very difficult, since this huge starch gap. And they give you a lot of bread too, which falls into the starch. Bread, starch is the main thing. You look at all the slop and everything that they use, it's all starch based. SOS, it's starch based because it's used from flour and all that other shit in order to make the gravy. All right, so going on a ketogenic diet in prison, I actually tried it one time. But I had access to the perks that can make a keto diet possible inside a prison. And this is how it basically works. If you are without any kind of money or any kind of family support, the only way that a ketogenic diet is going to work for you in prison is if you get your ass into the kitchen, into the culinary, food service, whatever it's called, at your local penitentiary or whatever the one you're housed in. You must be working in food service in order to have access to all the foods. Now, a lot of the meats and stuff that they give you are soaked into all kinds of starches and syrups and flavorings in order to make it a stew. Any kind of like turkey or chicken a la king, any kind of like kung pao chicken, all that stuff that you are a common menu item in the feds and in most prisons across the country. They call it slop. What you would have to do is working in the kitchen is you would be able to have access to all of this meat. You can take the meat out and actually strain it out in a bag in the sink. You could poke holes into the bag, right, and strain it out, run water through it, and strain out all the juices from that meat until it's just basic bare bones, tasteless beef, chicken, whatever it is, and you could consume that and move away from the starch. You also have access to a lot of beef patties. They give you what they call protein patties, turkey burgers, and chicken. Every prison gives you so much chicken, and more chicken than you ever want to eat in your life, that you're almost going to turn into a chicken. That's how much chicken they give you. But the good thing about the chicken is it is a really good alternative and option for somebody that's looking to go on a low carb diet. To maintain ketosis, you would have to eat a lot of this chicken. You have access to it in the kitchen. You can get 4 or 5 pieces and that'll maintain you for the day. But what about the next day? You're probably going to have chicken again, so you'll have more chicken to consume the next day. If you are somebody that has mommy and daddy helping you out, or granny, or that woman you met off of Plenty of Fish, you have more money on your account to where you can access more options in the commissary or the canteen, being the state of California, or you can actually buy shit from the kitchen as it's coming back out onto the yard, because it's always going to hit the yard. You could buy it. You have access to it if you have money on your account. So in the commissary or canteen, you have access to tuna pouches, salmon pouches, sardines, anything like that that counts as, or even chicken breast, beef stew in used to be in cans, but now it's in pouches. You can actually pull that meat out and string it out and get your proteins that way. And you could probably do a ketogenic diet very effectively if you had the money. Me personally, going into the federal system, I had quite a bit of money at the time, and I was able to actually try the ketogenic diet when I first heard about it. Now, here's the thing about any kind of fitness craze inside of prison. Most people think that these guys go into prison and they come out monsters. Well, here's the sad reality, and I hate to burst your bubble in a lot of ways, but most prisons across the country now don't have any weights. Specifically in California, California prisons have 0 weights whatsoever. They have no access to any kind of weights, weightlifting at all. They took that shit out in 1998. Long time ago, 20 years ago, and they've been gone and they've never come back since. So the only thing that you have is dip bars, push-up bars, pull-up bars, all that kind of bars out the ass, out the wazoo. And that's the only thing that you have. You're not going to get yoked up and big in a California prison or a federal prison. The federal prisons pretty much took out all the weights as well. Luckily for me, I happened to land at FCI Florence in Florence, Colorado, and it was one of the few prisons in the federal system that still had its weights. I mean, there was weights all over the place, but here is something that I noticed about it. People were working out in this weight pile. I mean, I was there for 5 years, and people were in that weight pile. I saw them the first time I seen the weight pile in there till the last day I seen them in the weight pile, and they looked exactly the same. Exactly the same. And they had access to unlimited plates, too. I mean, we're talking dudes were in there squatting like 400 pounds. People bench pressing over about 400 pounds. I've seen a few dudes do it. But they never got any, like, bulk like you see a bodybuilder, because they don't have access to all the nutrients and proteins and everything that is necessary in order to build and grow to be that big. So if somebody's growing and big and that big like that, then they probably got a secret supply of steroids somewhere. It is possible, and some dudes do get access to steroids in there. But the ketogenic diet, you're not going to build up a whole bunch of muscle tone and everything from it, but you will lose weight. It is good for mental focus and whatnot. And if you can get into the kitchen as a job to become your hustle, you can actually go on a ketogenic diet for a couple of months and shed the pounds that you need to shed, get the mental focus up, take care of inflammation, all that. That diet is awesome for that. I actually did it for inflammation because I got a bullet fragment in my knee, and every now and again it hurts. Inflammation from that, whatever that's caused from, old injuries, back problems, all of that went away with the ketogenic diet. My mental focus was a lot better, so I was able to maintain that inside of there for a couple of months. Outside, I do it every now and again in order to cut down on the inflammation, like I said, mental focus, whatnot. But the main thing is once you go on this ketogenic diet and you come off of it, you can't just go straight back into the carbs. You have to slowly work your way into it so your metabolism doesn't go into shock. But always exercise and work out. I basically do any kind of exercise that I can, whether it's light or extreme, almost every day. My job is basically exercising. So that's how you can maintain the ketogenic diet in a prison setting. You got to have either money coming in from the streets, or you have to have direct access to that kitchen. If you're just some average Joe that has neither, then you probably ain't going to be able to go on the ketogenic diet because the starch block is so big inside of these prisons, and the prison food is like that. That's why you see these dudes coming out nowadays that got the bellies and shit. It's all that starch they've been feeding them. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you're looking to do the ketogenic diet outside, be grateful that you're out here and that you have access to more materials than you would if you were in there. But if you are inside or you're getting ready to go in, these are the two options for you to maintain a ketogenic diet and maintain your fitness and state of mind. You heard it right here. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, not sugarcoated, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality, and I'm out.